What's up, YouTube? Out here trying to get this morning walk in. I just need to get some stuff off my chest, man. I know everybody that's interested in their freedom probably knows already that there's a full-blown attack on our gun rights right now. And it's reached a point to where I feel like if we don't stand up and we don't start putting a little bit of fear in this government's heart, we're going to lose it all. And then, I don't know if you've heard, but Cory Booker, senator out of New Jersey, I believe, has introduced a bill that's basically creating a federal registry, but worse. I mean, you got to have this federal card. If this gets passed, you have to have a federal card. I believe it's for each of your guns. Even guns that you already own have to be reported. It's only good for 5 years, and they don't have to approve you. It doesn't matter whether you haven't committed crimes or anything like that. If they see fit for any reason to disapprove you, that's what they'll do. And that's not good news for us conservatives, because they'll be disapproving us on those grounds alone. I mean, they've proven that they're willing to shut us down on YouTube and Twitter, and, you know, anybody with a conservative outlook on anything is being, silenced. I mean, you can't even look up so-called conspiracy theories on YouTube anymore. You try to look up a false flag attack on YouTube, and it's just it shows you nothing but mainstream news about nothing that has anything to do with that. But I don't know. I just really been disturbed by this government recently. I mean, I really feel like we need to stand up, and I don't know if we need to march on Washington. I'm not sure if open carry is legal there, but if it is, maybe march on Washington with a show of force, and maybe have somebody out front with a list of demands or something, man. I don't know. I don't know if we file lawsuits, but what good is a lawsuit? It's like suing yourself. They got endless taxpayer money to fight that lawsuit. They got judges that they've put in place. I don't know. This isn't an accident, man. Our government has played the long game. I mean, for decades. They've used, technology just to soften us up over the years. We're spoiled soft at this point. And I know there's a lot of people out there like me that would have the heart to show up to the front line, whatever that would consist of. Whether it be just, marching, or if it comes down to a civil war eventually, if it gets to that point. I just feel like if enough of us marched on Washington, hopefully open carry is legal there, but I'm not sure in Washington, D.C., but if it is, if enough of us marched, we could definitely make a believer out of them, look at what the left did. They got everything they wanted, and they're just burning down every major city in America. But I tell myself that was only allowed because it was following their agenda, they wanted that to happen. You listen to Maxine Waters out there inciting the violence and telling people that they're not doing enough and they need to keep it going. So obviously, what they wanted was being fulfilled. So now I'm not saying that we couldn't have such a show of force that we could get a similar outcome as far as getting what we want, but it would take a lot more effort than it took them. They were hitting, Antifa was hitting cops in the heads with baseball bats, and they were just walking off, no penalty. I'm sure you guys remember that one. And that's the thing, us conservatives, I'm not going to say Republicans, because I'm not a Republican, I just consider myself a patriot, somebody who believes in the Constitution. I have to vote Republican. I mean, if I want any kind of break on my guns being confiscated or having to worry about, my guns, and that's only 4, maybe 8 years if you're lucky, if it's a two-term president. But I firmly believe that the Democrats and the Republicans are in bed together. When a Republican's in office, the Democrats are able to get what they need done, and vice versa. It's been that way forever. It's sad that a New York billionaire playboy had to come in and put our country back on track. Literally, he almost completed everything he ran on with just 4 years. Imagine if he had 8 years, a consistent 8 years with no break. There's no telling what that man would have done, And I'm not the type of person that's a fool and sits back and thinks he was doing that because he's a patriot. I hope to God he's a patriot, But the fact of the matter is, Trump probably is a narcissist, and he was probably doing that for legacy. But at the end of the day, do we really care what he was doing that for? I don't think so. I really don't think we do. As long as we're getting done what we need done in this country. But then look at Biden. As soon as his administration gets in office, what do? First day in office, man, shut down the Keystone Pipeline, stop building the wall, pretty much open the borders wide open. Well, not pretty much, they're wide open. I seen a video the other day of, big, touring buses down there at the border, loading up 150 migrants per bus and busting them all over the country. I mean, God knows where they were going. And it's obvious wrong's being done. Everybody's hiding their faces, it was some media, I'm guessing conservative media outlet down there. I believe it was in Arizona where this was happening. But, they're hiding their faces and all. I mean, if they didn't have nothing to hide and they weren't doing nothing wrong, then why are they hiding their faces, I don't know. I mean, they're taking away the 80% lowers. Now, it's going to be passed. I mean, it's supposed to be August 24th that this illegal redefining of the law that the ATF didn't pass through Congress and none of that. They just rewrote the law, and we have to deal with it, evidently. Well, now gun parts, a barrel, your firing pin goes out. Sorry for your luck. You got to go down and you got to basically have everything that you purchase on a registry. And if what Cory Booker put into place goes through, that right there alone should be enough. That should kick off any kind of conflict. And if that right there doesn't, I don't know what will. But I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering if there's people out there that are feeling like I'm feeling. I know there is, but it's time for us to not be the silent majority anymore. It's time for us to speak out and show these people that if they don't back off of our freedoms and our rights, then they're going to have to deal with us in whatever way that they force our hand. Now, if we can march and get done what we need to get done, I mean, God bless it. Lord knows that I believe in, peace and getting things done, without violence and all of that. But at the end of the day, the Second Amendment wasn't the Second Amendment for no reason, First, you try to talk things out. You try to be civil. You give them chances and try to get things done the right way. And then if that fails, well, then the answer to that, you get busy. You don't have a choice. You make them do what they have to do for your freedom, At the end of the day, if we don't stand up and kill each other, if our military refuses to fight against us, our police force refuses to fight against us, then what do they have, really? Some UN soldiers they can call in, stuff like that? I mean, there's a bunch of old men at that point with no army, And I know it's going to be a nightmare, especially on the first few months of whatever civil war or whatever ends up happening. I hope that doesn't come to that, but, there's going to be a lot of people dying on both sides. But, I was thinking the other day, Like, and trust me, I'm not somebody that is like not afraid of dying. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like walking around petrified every day, but I definitely am not looking forward to the proposition. So, but at the end of the day, I would rather be dead than not free. And I think that, and I'm not just saying that, I think it's easy for people just to think that I'm, blowing smoke on that one. But I really thought about that the other day, I honestly would rather be dead than live in a country that has no freedom. Because there's nowhere else to go, people. If somebody in the UK gets sick of, not having any freedom, what can they do? They can get on a plane and come to the US and just be blown away by the freedom we have here and live a wonderful life, If we get sick of it, where do we go? There's nowhere to go. This is the last free place in the world, and it's being destroyed. I mean, every day it seems like something new is being passed or being rewritten unconstitutionally. I mean, the ATF rewriting laws, like literally changing the definition of already existing laws, that is against the Constitution. And truth be told, all those alphabet agencies are against the Constitution. Policing is not mentioned in the Constitution, not once. Now I don't know about as far as states go, like a state agency, something like that. I don't know how that would be, but I'm guessing that wouldn't be constitutional either, given that there's nothing mentioned about policing in the Constitution, So, I don't know. I know damn well that the ATF is unconstitutional, the FBI, all of that, the IRS, that is all unconstitutional. The ATF, I mean, if they're the only ones we can get abolished, they need to be abolished. All of them need to be abolished, if you ask me. But the ATF definitely does, ASAP. And I feel like we need to press whatever conservative is running this next presidential election, we need to press them to abolish the ATF and make that part of their, their running platform, or however you say it. Now, depending on who gets elected, I mean, they don't do what they say they're going to do anyway. That's Democrat or Republican. I forget how many years back it went, but I was hearing somebody break down like how many presidents have actually done what they said they were going to do on any kind of like large scale, actually keeping their promises. And I guess Trump's like the only one in like decades that's done it. But I don't know. I'm just trying to vent. It's 5:50 something. I'm out here getting my morning walk in. And I was just wondering what you guys thought, man. Is it going to take an armed conflict in order to get this to stop? I don't know. What I do know is when the government takes something from us, they never give it back. Once they grab us by the throat, they don't release it. So, and in order to get some of that stuff changed, we're going to have to put some fear in their hearts. We're going to have to make them think, well, let's either back off their guns. We need to either back off their guns or we're going to lose it all. And if they start having that thought process, then they'll look at it like it's not worth it, to completely lose the country when all they had to do was just back the hell up off our guns. Truth be told, a lot of conservatives, as long as their guns aren't being bothered, they work and they keep their mouths shut. I mean, they're not called the silent majority for no reason, But once you start playing with our firearms, we realize, immediately that without the firearm, there is no Constitution. There's a reason why it is the Second Amendment. Because all the rest of them have no teeth. You don't have a firearm, you ain't forcing nobody to do anything. Why do you think throughout history with Mao and Stalin and Mussolini and Hitler, and the first thing they do when they get in power is demand the guns be turned in? Common sense will tell you why that is, you know, because if you have a populace that's armed, it's a lot harder for you to make them do what you want them to do, you know. And it doesn't take rocket science to figure this stuff out, man. And these people are evil. I'm telling you, there is an evil loose in our government right now that needs to be exterminated. They need to be arrested. They need to be voted out at the least. Like, I don't know. I don't know what we do, people. But what I do know is that we can't sit back and do nothing anymore. I mean, that's the thing, you know, they play the long game with us. They really do. Like, they'll take a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And what do? We sit back and say, well, man, you know, once somebody starts talking about, you know, standing up against them or, you know, in a aggressive manner, then that person's looked at as crazy and automatically denounced as crazy because, oh, wow, we're going to do that for something so small. No, see, they're not seeing the big picture. There's a reason why they do everything in little tiny bits like that, because they know that the majority of the people are going to have that thought, you know, like it's not worth a civil war or it's not worth a conflict. But what we need to realize is that it's not just a little thing. I mean, if you add up everything that they've done to us since they started with the Gun Control Act, I mean, come on. If they had done all of that overnight, this country would have been outraged, you know? And I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I believe that, you know, sports and television and a lot of this stuff was built, you know, all that stuff was done by design, man, to rock us to sleep, you know? I mean, really. I mean, I could be off on that, you know, but whether it was purposely done or not, that's what it's essentially done. I mean, people are basically just being rocked to sleep, you know. I can't go out and march. I got to watch the game, you know. I can't call my congressman today because I got to watch the game, you know. I don't know. I'm just glad to see the ratings are down on everything. I mean, CNN, they invested $600 million in CNN Plus. I mean, people literally were quitting their jobs at other media outlets and taking jobs with them, and the bottom fell out of it, and they had to cancel it. That's because nobody's listening anymore. You know, that's one of the best things Trump ever did, was just rip the veil off these people, man. You know, we all thought that our media lied to us, and we all thought that our government was corrupt and all that. But he made it blatantly obvious. You know, he just did. And if for no other reason, he was a great president just for that alone. But I don't know. I was just trying to get your guys' thoughts. You know, see what you guys think. If you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I don't have hardly any subscribers at this point. I only get like 30 views a video. Have less than that subscribers, 27 I think. But I just think it would be neat if I could get my voice out there, because there's not a lot of people that are saying what I'm saying. I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong. Mr. Guns and Gear, I mean, that guy, anytime they do something, man, he holds them accountable. He gets on there and he spreads the message. He lets people know what's going on, you know. And I respect that. What's that lawyer's name? Armed Scholar? Man, that guy's a patriot, you know. Even if his motive is financial, whatever. I mean, that guy is spreading the good word, or the bad word, however you want to look at it. It's very rarely he has a positive video about our gun rights, but Copper Jacket TV is another one that gets right on it when it happens, you know, and lets us know what's being done, which is awesome, you know. I mean, for a lot